No tea, straight season in the situation. Salt and Peppa podcast, it's the nation. Melanation, you know what it mean. I will always show love to my queens. No tea, straight season in the situation. Salt and Peppa podcast, it's the nation. Melanation, college educated, hustlepreneurs, you can't hate it.
This episode is sponsored by Pergola Events, located in New Britain, Connecticut. The owner and CEO is Janae Ferguson. Janae has cultivated a different essence of nightlife and a sense of culture through the events that's held at Pergola. She provides networking events, karaoke nights on Toxic Tuesdays. You could book the events for baby showers, weddings, and so much more. Get in contact with Janae today at Pergola Events CT on Instagram. Tell her Peppa sent you.
Hi, SMP fam. Y'all, building as we driving, y'all know we love us for our transparency. Right. If it's not one thing, it's another, but we are embracing it as we go, and thank you for bearing with us. But this is SMP Monday, SMP Monday, SMP Monday. Whew, I still felt that. Yeah.
Second time.
Right. I still felt that, regardless of what. So, y'all know S&P Mondays for me is like therapy. So, this day was well needed. And let's get the intro out the way because I already just want to dive right in. You feel it, right? Yeah. Right. Okay, yeah.
It's your girl Sault.
And your girl Peppa.
We coming to give you no tea, straight seasoning.
We're just two best friends.
Giving our views
and perspective
on this thing called life.
Yeah, we're going to get that soundboard. I think it's about time. We do this way too much.
But yeah, we do the same ass sound effects.
Yeah, that's the only buttons we're going to hit on the sound machine. I might throw the, with my dogs, like, hoo, 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 hoo.
You know what?
Yeah, I might need that one. With my thuggish days. So as y'all know, I said SMP feels like therapy for me. It is a form of therapy because we are very transparent about our life experiences, our problems, and everything we've been through. We talk it out, give you the life lesson, and pray you take it so you don't have to go through it. Right? So as y'all know, this season or this year, we've been really into self and self-discovery and everything that really means I'm stepping into my own, I'm standing on my own. And when I said, I meant what I said. Period.
Don't question it.
Boundaries is real around here, right?
Period.
So who better else to sit with than Mr. Heavy on the self-love himself? Right? Right? I mean, y'all see it. We wearing it. It's all across the world. We decided to be a united front today. It's crazy because earlier today, we was in Windsor at the shop just driving back home. I seen like 4 people with this on. Wow. Like literally. Wow. And I think everything is a sign. So I'm like, oh, tonight is gonna be a good night. Tonight is gonna be a great night. Yeah, so I'm excited. I thank you for being here.
I thank you for
yes. So you wanna add something on that? A little.
Hey. No, I love my sweatsuit. I love it. I don't know how many episodes I'm in this sweatsuit. I don't know if you paid attention.
I saw you promoting Michael Blackson with the shirt on.
Yes.
Oh, see? Yeah, and that was accident.
Yeah.
and that's been shared.
I appreciate
all
that.
over. That's already that one reel. You know how when you're a professional model stuff, they tell you like this reel is performing 30% more, and I'm like, oh, for real? Well, what's happening?
What's about this reel?
Right.
But I'm like, I was mad because I was looking for the shirt, but you just reminded me it's in the dirty clothes.
Because you wear it
That's
so
why I
often.
couldn't find it.
Because
so
you're heavy on the
often, yes.
self-love.
Heavy on the self-love.
Yeah.
Period. So for those of you who don't know, this is Matthew Boland. I love to give intros and all of that good stuff, but it's nothing better than coming from you yourself and telling
Right.
people what you want them to know about you.
Okay.
And what this brand and everything means. Matter of fact, I'm foolish. Before we even get into that, y'all.
Oh, we got gifts. I said I wanted to wait to open my gift. Ooh.
Can I cry now or later?
What I get?
Y'all,
Small little token of my appreciation.
we are 5 seasons in, 5 glorious seasons in. Had over 30 people on this show. This is the first time
Yeah, we got a
anybody has walked
gift.
through these doors and graced us with anything.
That's crazy.
And we asked for nothing.
No, you didn't. You didn't ask
We
for
ask for nothing. We literally say we see you,
Mm-hmm.
we appreciate you, and we want to hear your story. That's all we say. And to get anything out of gift, y'all,
I'm excited about this.
pour into people who
You
pour
telling
into
me I
you.
can have bad hair days.
You can.
And I'm going to have them.
Hold on, wait, and it go over my life.
Period.
Yes,
I'm so excited about this.
y'all.
Gifts is actually like one of my love languages. Like I love getting gifts. I love receiving gifts. And like you said, like it's important to pour into people.
Oh, wait, we got cards.
We got.
Well, it's a card to the both of you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I want to see. Let me read it to him.
Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm too emotional. I've been in my
can't even
emotions. I've been in my emotions for a couple days, but y'all don't understand. And it's not the materialistic aspect of it. It's not that. It's the thought behind it. That you thought us worthy enough to bring anything.
Well-
that in itself, I appreciate.
And you guys felt that I was worthy enough to share this platform with you guys. So this is just a token of my appreciation. A small
Thank
token.
you. I thank you.
So appreciated.
Y'all, if y'all see me with this bag, just
In the bag.
Sure.
That's and look, I think that might be my favorite part. The bag.
I'm gonna be in the mall. They're gonna be like, I'm not putting nothing in. I'm just buying it for the
I'm not boosting. I'm not
right.
boosting my booster bag. This is not the booster bag.
Ma'am, I just want to spread.
Please don't
Make it
me the
clear.
booster bag.
Make it clear. This is not the booster bag.
Not the booster bag.
I just want to spread love and put all the things I bought in here. That's it. That's it. I promise, but no, I appreciate that. Now, back to where we was going to tell them.
So, my name is Matthew Boland. I started the brand during the pandemic. It became like my pandemic project, right? Like I was inspired to create something that would encourage people to love themselves a little bit more each day. My background is behavioral health. I've been doing it for almost 2 decades now. I work in behavioral health and addiction services. That's what I do full time. And I started to see the decline on social media during the pandemic, right? Like it started off as like a joke, right? Like this is affecting the Chinese and it doesn't affect us. And then we started to see people losing employment, people being hospitalized, people not being able to spend time with their loved ones because they were scared that they were asymptomatic and could potentially make people sick, right?
Yeah.
So we went through that period, and I think that a lot of people were forced to face the music, right? There's a lot of demons that people are dealing with, and we're allowed to use like the club as an outlet, right? Socializing with our friends as an outlet, going to the bar as an outlet, but with everything being shut down, we had to actually look at ourselves in the
sit with
mirror,
yourself.
and we had to sit with ourselves, right? So I can't escape this weekend, right? And I'm in the house and I'm staring at myself, and I've felt depression, but I've never felt it to
Like
this
this,
magnitude.
right.
And people started sharing this on social media, right? And I started to see the decline. Like I was actually coaching people through their messages like, you know, you're important and continue to be encouraged, and I'm sorry that you're feeling suicidal today, or appreciate the way that you're feeling today, but don't stay there, right? And I started to see people like, you know, thank you so much for reaching out to me. Someone actually cares, because we don't have to physically be there for someone
Right.
to be there for someone,
Right.
right? I see your post, I acknowledge the way that you're feeling. Your feelings are valid, right? but also don't marinate in that depression. Don't marinate in that anxiety. So one day after working a 16-hour shift, this is a true story, I was so inspired to create something. I didn't know what it was, right? And I was like heavy on the self-love. And I was like, it kind of has like a little ring to it, right? And I didn't really know how the logo was gonna look, right? And I remember getting on 99designs.com. And not that I'm receiving any kickback from the company or anything like that, but if you're trying to develop a website, a logo, packaging, highly recommend 99designs.com. Because on that platform, you're able to articulate in a brief what you're looking for, and then there's designers from all over the world that are competing on that project, right? So you're able to kind of like guide the creativity, right? Because I'm not a graphic designer, but I can tell you what I'm looking for, and it's almost like the way that Heavy on the Self-Love like organically happened. It's almost like visiting houses, right? So let's say that you're searching for a home and you see a couple of houses, right? And as soon as you get to the house, you're like, this is the one. Like, this is the house for me, right? Like, you know it. You're able to discern in your spirit, right? It's a feeling, right? That job, you get that offer, and you're like, mine. This is mine. This is what I interviewed for.
This is mine.
When I started seeing the logo created, I was like, it was that feeling. I was like, this is it. Like, God literally sent the right designer, right, to create this logo for me. And then I fell in love with it, right? And I started sharing that process during the pandemic, right, where more people were online and they're looking, right? And we weren't as distracted. So I think that the success in the brand, where a lot of people were able to resonate with the brand, and they're like, I remember being a part of this process from day one. I remember when it was just a logo, and then it turned into a website, and now it's apparel. So I feel like a lot of people connected with the brand because they were like, he's building community, he's building a tribe, he's connecting with me, I hear what he's saying, and it's resonating, right? I feel what he's able to empathize on a different level. And I feel like Heavy on the Self-Love, like, it happens so organically for me because just naturally, right, with the work that I do, like, people feel comfortable being around me. People feel comfortable sharing their story, right? I can literally sit in the nail salon and make friends with the person to the right of me, right? And they're like, I feel like I've known you forever. Why am I sharing this information with you? Because there's a level of comfort. And I didn't realize that that was a gift for so long, right? And I'm 6'1", I'm 200 plus pounds. You know.
You don't come off intimidating.
And not that I'm coming off as intimidating, but people have said to me, you don't play sports? And I'm like, nah, I don't play sports. And they're like, what a waste, right? And I would hear those things, right? And I really, for a long time, didn't know what my gift was, right? Until Heavy on the Self-Love. And I was just like, wow, like, this feels natural. It doesn't feel forced, right? So pretty much that's how the process started, right? I have friends around me that love and support me, and they're like, Matt, you gotta put yourself out there, which is like, as social as I am, I still get anxiety, like in spaces like this, right? Like, we're live right now, and I'm a little anxious, because I'm like, this is the first podcast.
Ask her about the first two.
This is the first podcast. This is the first podcast. People have invited me to
There go the soundboard.
This is my first podcast, and I have friends that have podcasts, and I know they're probably gonna hate me after like I post this. Like, well, why didn't you come to mine first? But nothing happens before it's time.
I was about to say it felt right this time.
It felt right this time. It wasn't. I didn't feel pressured, right? Because I feel like I'll go live on social media, right, and people will share that. Like, I'll be in public spaces, and they're like, I feel like I know you, and they're like, I seen your post earlier, and then I would have people like kind of like coerce me to talk about. Should go live and talk about abortion, right? But if abortion is not planted in my spirit, I'm not going to go live. So the point that I'm making is, when you guys reached out to me, I felt comfortable. Whereas I didn't feel the pressure of having to be in this space and having to do this and maybe disappointing someone by saying, no, I can't commit to this. It just happened like organically, you know? So.
Welcome.
I hear everything you say, but I have like few things stuck with me. One, you stated through it all, you found your purpose. And I remember in the pandemic, I dissolved it. I went through the worst breakup, fell deep into a depression. I was at my heaviest at the time. So when you say heavy on the self-love, I was broken to a shell. So that you sitting with yourself at home, and it's just like, I don't like who I am right now. But it's like when you realize you don't like who you are, what was your journey like to fix it or to?
So people will tell us that because I feel like a lot of times people see the potential in us that we don't see in ourselves, right?
Yeah.
They see the purpose in us that we don't see in ourselves, and it's that reminder of like, you're doing a great thing, and or you're attractive, or you're charismatic, or I love the energy that you bring, but it's believing that for yourself, right? Because you can tell me that all day, but if I don't really feel everything that you're telling me, right?
Then it don't matter.
Thank you.
It's hard to kind of operate in that, right? So with having on the self-love, I was like, I started this brand, right? And I kind of felt like a fraud by not putting in the work. And when I say putting in the work, I was also, during the pandemic, having to face a lot of my demons, right? I didn't have distractions, right? I didn't realize how much I struggled with certain addictions, right? The message is not gonna resonate with people that can feel it from you.
Right.
Because people can feel if it's authentic, right? They
Yes.
get around you, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, he's promoting something that he
It's
doesn't
fake.
even believe
Yep.
in, right? And then I realized, like, relationship after relationship after relationship, right? I was like, I'm actually the problem. I'm like, my last relationship, I'm
Not
like,
the
wait a minute.
TikTok, am I?
I was like, I'm actually the problem. Like, because you have to look at the common denominator, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can date 6 different people, and if these 6 people don't know each other, right? And they all have
They all
bad reviews
feel the
about
same,
you,
yeah.
you're the problem, right? So I said to myself after my last breakup, because he started to go to therapy, right? And I remember dropping him off at therapy, and I was like, I don't need no therapy. I don't need to go see anybody. Like, I'm not telling anybody my business, right? And I had this idea in my head of like this therapist just not really caring or connecting, right? They're doodling as they're listening to you, but they're really not connecting, and you don't find anything beneficial from that, right?
Right.
So I started to see, because I was so toxic in my last relationship, my ex-boyfriend, right? He started to kind of like, because of that therapy, he started kind of like working on an exit strategy out of the relationship, right? So this person was building him up, and I was breaking him down.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So I was just like, wow. And it was so important for him to go to therapy. Like it became so ritualistic. Like he had to be at therapy on Tuesdays. He prioritized that.
Yeah.
And I realized how much of a weight lifted off of his shoulders when he would leave those sessions.
Wow.
And I was like, how was therapy? He's like, oh, it's good. I'm like, so you ain't gonna tell me no details? Like, what was good about it, right? He's like, no, it's good. You know, like, he didn't feel empowered. Like, I'm accustomed of being conditioned to being toxic that
Yeah.
you don't even realize how
toxic
toxic you
you
are. Right? You don't realize how toxic you are.
That's tea. That's the tea.
That's espresso, right? That's gonna keep you up. So I didn't realize, I was just like, yo, in order for me to be a better version of who I am, I gotta apply the work, right? Because we could listen to these mantras all day, you could listen to like the best motivational speeches, you could reshare memes, right? But if you don't get to the roots of what those issues are, if these memes and stuff like that, and then after that, you're like, I feel anxious again. I'm depressed again. I don't feel worthy again.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like this after listening to Sarah Jakes, right? So I was just like, you know what? That's my girl too. You know? Shout out to Sarah Jakes if you ever see this in the future.
She's actively watching right
Yes.
now.
She
Don't
is.
worry about it.
You know, she's watching it in the spiritual realm. We just haven't brought it into the physical realm yet.
Period.
Right? So
You know.
I actually reached out to this therapist, right? And I was like, I don't know how much I should share with someone, right? But then it's almost like going to a doctor and you not being forthcoming about why you're in the doctor's office. They can't help you. They can't help you.
That's a word.
What did you go to the doctor for if you can't be transparent with your doctor,
Your
right?
stomach hurt, but you won't tell them.
But you won't tell them why, right? You got a little itch down there, but you know.
I think I
I don't
know.
have no sexual partners. Yeah, you do. You been itching for a week. It's not detergent. You know, so I was like the very first therapist that I connected with, right? It was, in no disrespect, she was from suburbia, Caucasian, wasn't a part of the LGBTQ plus community, right? So it was more of me educating this woman who was educated, and I didn't feel I was really benefiting, and I almost quit, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, therapy, this shit is whack. Like, it doesn't help you. These people are
I gotta
just billing
teach
my
you what the
insurance.
lingo is.
Yeah, it was
It's
too much
too much.
educated.
It's
I'm
too
like,
much.
It's only an hour
You
session.
getting drained during
Yeah.
that session.
Yeah.
I'm getting 20 minutes of advice advice and you getting 40 minutes of education. I would
Yeah.
run money back.
Exactly. So I was just like, I got discouraged with the process, and then I started reaching out to like friends that were in therapy, right?
Yeah.
And they gave me some really great advice. I had a friend that was like, Matt, you're not gonna really experience breakthroughs, right? Because a lot of it is just them kind of assessing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're collecting a lot of information about you, right? Your childhood, the traumas, this, that, and the third. I'm thinking my first session, I'm gonna be empowered. You know, I'm leaving out of the session.
You're gonna cry.
You wanted
And there were
you
times
wanted your ex's reaction as
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not feeling what my ex was feeling.
He left out of there like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
But
I was
after
like,
how
you can ride
long?
home? He's like, nah, I'm walking. I can walk. I'm like, but it's 10 miles away. I can walk. I got this.
I got this. This
I got
thinking
this.
time.
I was like, okay. I wanted that same feeling, and we have to understand that like our journeys are not the same, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because he never shared with me what he was benefiting from in those sessions, right?
Right.
So how do you expect to feel something that you don't even know what you're supposed to be feeling,
Right.
right? So I had a friend, he was like, don't get discouraged. Like my first session, sometimes you have to change therapists. My recommendation is to look for someone that's a part of your tribe, right?
Right.
So in a part of your tribe could be gender, right? It could be sexual orientation.
Yeah.
It could be race. You need someone that's able to connect with
To
you,
connect.
where you're not doing a lot of that educating, right?
Yes.
And you're benefiting from the whole session. So I kind of started putting my feelers out there, and I was just like, okay, I need a therapist that's, you know, part of the LGBT community, right?
Yeah.
That could connect to me and things like that.
There's
And
some awesome ones out
there
there.
are.
There's some
There are,
awesome
and I wish I could plug my therapist's name, but I don't want to overwhelm his
Yeah.
office. I don't know if I can do that. I didn't ask. You know, I'm just thinking about it right now. But after that first session, I was just like, yo, this man is amazing. And then he also didn't want me to like be codependent on the therapy. He was like, I don't believe in therapy after 6 months to a year, because I'm going to provide you with the coping skills and the DBT and all these things that you are supposed to apply in the
Right.
real world. Like I would leave these sessions and he would have homework for me.
Yes, as he
And I would
should.
come back to these sessions and I'm like, bro, like, I thought I was just about to sit down and talk to you for an hour.
You sent me home to write a paper.
A paper, and I fill out the 75 questionnaire about my personality, and like, I was like,
Yeah.
but I started to benefit more from the therapy, and I felt empowered, and you know, I started to get to the root of like a lot of the trauma, right?
Yep.
And then it just made it a little bit easier for me to like operate in heavy on the self-love, right? Because now it's just like you really
You're feeling
can't break me.
it,
I'm
yes.
feeling it.
Right.
And then to put the apparel on, it makes you feel it even
That's
more.
your armor.
It is.
Ah,
It is.
that is your armor.
is.
I put on my shield,
Yes.
my helmet of righteousness. Oh,
Yes.
I know I know Bible. Y'all better stop playing with me.
And sometimes you need to be reminded of
Yes.
it, right? Like when you're feeling depressed and you're feeling down, sometimes it's just looking at your upper left chest and you're like, yo,
That's where it's at.
this is the whole purpose,
Yeah.
right? And in order for me to be heavy on the self-love, nobody else at the level that I haven't met myself. So it didn't matter how many people I dated, right? Because we have this idea in our head that we need to date someone in order to feel complete, right?
Nope.
Not realizing that you are already complete, but that person that you attract just highlights the great things about you.
Right.
They're in addition to.
Yes.
If they separate from you, you're still gonna be okay,
Right.
right? And I felt like relationship after relationship, breakup, I felt depleted, right? A piece of me had left because I didn't know who I was,
Yeah.
right? I
It
didn't know
was
who I
filling that
was
void for you, so you felt complete in the moment.
in the moment. And then the depression came back when you broke up,
Yeah.
right?
Because now the peace gone.
Exactly.
I'm back empty again. I need
Exactly.
to find the next filling.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And you know, I just started like replacing these relationships, and I'm like, you need to, you know, refocus this energy on building this brand, right? Because that's the purpose. Like, this is what God wants you to
This
do.
was your new love.
This was my new love, you know? And when I hear stories like that, like, people will reach out to me, like, I was at West Farm today at the Apple store, and I saw somebody with your trucker hat on, and I was like, and they were like, it made me feel empowered. You know, I was getting food at Jamski's, and the girl, I'm coming through Jamski's, and she saw me with the hat on, and she left the kitchen to say, I know him. And it made me feel empowered, right?
Yeah.
Because as much as you don't think that you're putting the work in and people aren't seeing it, they're seeing
They
it.
are.
They're seeing it, you know? And then I had friends around me, they're like, well, what do you plan on doing with this brand? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't even think that I would build a brand, right?
Right.
I didn't even think that I would be doing this. Like, I've always had an entrepreneur spirit about me, right?
Always.
Always had an entrepreneur. I've sold hair extensions, I've had 360
Always.
photo booths. Like, you know, I was like the jack of all trades. I'm
Always.
like, if I wanted to start a rock collection. But the great thing about all
I
these
figured
things,
you was 2 seconds away from owning your own hair salon at one point.
At
I was
one
like,
point.
listen, I know how to whip these people into shape. I know what a salon needs. I know how it's supposed to run. Matt was the type, if I see it and I know how to operate in it, I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing
it, right? And I feel like with Heavy on the Self-Love, I'm not gonna say that there's not as much effort, but I feel like the other things that I was doing, I was stressed out doing those things.
Because it's not your passion.
It
it's not
wasn't,
your
right? I
purpose.
saw somebody selling bundles and I'm like, yo, they making money. I'm about to start selling bundles too.
doing it.
I'm
But
doing
you were
it.
stressed out behind
But I
the
was
scenes.
stressed out behind it.
Because your care for the hair is different from what somebody else would put out there. So you doing all the work that nobody else would have done. They
Exactly.
making the fast money, but you like, I actually care, but you putting your care in the wrong department of people. Maybe
Exactly.
it's not in the hair. I need to just care about you.
Exactly.
I need to just care about you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And even from like a kid, right? Like I always thought that I was gonna do medicine, right? And like there's a reason that I gravitated towards behavioral health and addiction services, right? I'm able to connect with this demographic that most people are like, they don't want to connect with, right? They're
Right.
scared to be around because of schizophrenia and things like that. And it just felt natural.
Right.
It just felt natural, and I'm just like, well, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm supposed to be serving people. Maybe not medicine, right? Maybe not, because I sucked at math and I sucked at science.
Is
I'm
this
like,
not medicine though?
but it is medicine. It's spiritual medicine, right?
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying, that I've always had like that caring, therapeutic, nurturing personality to me that just draws people in, that the brand just made sense. It just made sense.
I feel like, okay, so a lot of people don't know I knew you for a long time. And I didn't know you were connected to this brand for a long time.
Really?
For a long time.
Okay.
I'm the type of, I'm me personally, I see it, I like it. If I support it, I support it. If I don't, you know, it's not about the who or the what, but when I found out the who, it made sense. Because I remember this moment, we were in Premier Beauty Salon. And this is when I was Chloe's assistant. And I was very rough around the edges when I was young. Very rough around the edges.
Need a little bit
But
of
Matt pulled me to the side one day. And it was right when I was about to leave for college. And you was like, listen, this is all the things you need to do. This, you going out somewhere, they need to represent right, carry yourself right. You know, your mom's not your, you know, you gave me the talk nobody else gave me. Everybody was just like, girl, have fun, girl, yes, take it there.
Sent you out there to the wilderness
But
with
you're
no
the
direction.
only person who sat me down and was like, listen, I understand you and where you're at, but you need to understand where you're going and you need to see yourself beyond that. And I held on to that for a long time because nobody, I think that was outside of like church and all that stuff. We have mentors, we have people who teach us things and careers and skills, but that was the first time I can recall. No shade, Ma, no shade, you know, no tea, no shade, but that's the first time I could recall somebody actually speaking life into me. Because I just seen myself for many years for what I was. I was a fighter. I was smart as hell. Grades always A+ and beyond, but it just was what it was. You looked at me wrong, what's up? But you was the first one to be like, I'm not even gonna come to you like that, mother just. So when I found out it was you behind the bar, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. It makes sense. And that's what made me love it even more. Because like you said, people can tell this is coming from a fraud. I don't hear you speak none of that. I don't have no recollection of you ever being
Fighting people in crowds.
I don't have no recollection of you being like, no, let me be the peacemaker. But it's just more like, when I put the name to that, I'm like, yo, I love it so much more.
Thank you.
And I just had to get that story out.
Thank you. And I appreciate you just telling me that and pouring into me, because I think that sometimes, like, when people compliment us, right, we don't know how to receive that.
Yeah.
Because, again, the relationship that we have with ourselves, right?
Right.
So it's almost like somebody's like, oh, that bag is nice. And you're like, this whole thing,
Yes.
instead of actually embracing that
Right.
compliment
Oh,
and saying,
thank you.
thank you.
Yes.
You know, I don't think that we know how to receive that. So I appreciate you, pouring into me and reminding me of what I told you
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Many,
Leave it at that.
3 years ago. No, but yeah, I will forever hold on to stuff like that because I feel like at a time when you really don't know who you are, and somebody could just take you outside of the roughness and be like, I just want to bring you into a place of just calm, even if it's just for a moment. Yeah, I appreciate that. So, yeah, that makes my heart smile. That makes my heart smile. So, we normally play a game of Do You Know Me Best?
Do you know me best?
But this feels different, and I know you do. You're heavy on the self-love project, and you ask questions and stuff. So I think it's only right that you have your time. You know, you can flip the script.
Well, I mean, I was going to ask you guys those questions up there.
Oh, but I'm just saying, any outside of those, you could anything that you want to know about SMP.
Okay, so you guys said that you're in your 5th
Yes.
season, interviewed over 30 people.
Yes.
What started this whole process? Like, how did you guys come together as a collaborative and say, this is what we want to do, this is what we're going to do, we're here now, we're doing it?
I feel like it's a two-parter. You hit the first part.
There's a lot to unpack.
So it's like what you said. A lot of people during the pandemic was doing, like you see a lot of people telling their stories going live. I was one of those people. I was on a journey of finding myself, really like tuning out the noise type of thing and finding my purpose. And I always knew this was my gift. I just didn't know how to use it to be constructive instead of destructive, right? So one day I did this live, and it got like over 700 likes, so many shares. So I'm like, let me see if this is gonna be a weekly thing, right? So I started doing it. Like, when you coming out with a podcast, girl? Because we is tapped in, we tuned, and I'm like,
We want more.
all right. So me, I'm like you. If I have an idea, I have a vision, and especially if it's something that wake me up in the middle of the night, and I'm writing out a whole page and playing and stuff. So, yeah, I got a podcast idea. It could go two
This is
different
how
ways.
it's happening.
Yeah, this is exactly, literally, she said yes. We had a different, my vision was different at first to bring somebody else along. It was going to be called the trilogy.
Okay.
Your side, my side, the
Okay.
broad, you know.
Okay.
Somebody super faith-based, you got the street, the hood, and somebody who's just spiritual, neutral, give
Okay.
them all sides
Okay.
of the spectrum. It didn't work out. God is funny.
Very humorous.
Yes, so we ended up, I'm like, she was like, what we gonna call it? Salt and Peppa is tattooed on us. Like, this is easy. This is easy. That Friday, did a photo shoot for the podcast. And we went on our first best friend vacation, and the next week launched our first episode. It literally was build it as you drive. I had a vision. I didn't know nothing about recording, audio, nothing. I just
Figure it out as you go.
we gonna figure it out as I go. And I told her, I was like, she was like, well, what's the pod gonna be about? What's I'm like, listen, we've lost enough. We've learned enough. We've been them people that crawled into many a shells and had those shells destroyed right from over us. We've had our peace disturbed. Like, we have something to speak about.
Right.
I was like, and we always are those people. If I could pour into you, if I could help you, why not do it? And I feel like, not trying to be all churchy, but your testimony is the best thing you can give somebody. Listen, I've been there. Before you get there, let me tell you how to go on this way. So it was just that, and it was just as the pod went along, like you said, you get those, I needed this today.
Right.
And it was real shit we was going through. I lost
As
my
we was
job.
going through it.
The same day I lost my job, that night we
was
recorded.
recording.
Yeah.
And I'm
Because
like, y'all
the show
not
has to go on.
fired.
The show has to, but you're able to be real and connect with people that have been through a similar situation.
And everybody like, well, what's next? What's that? What you mean? Hustle continues. And I'm saying this for this one. And I told her, I was like, the first part of that life, I was going to cuss that job out. I was about to air them out. But as it was going, I'm like, you know what? I can't even be mad because for a long time I kept saying, I want a new job.
Right.
And I sat there. And God told me, you waited too long. It was almost going on a year. I kept saying, I want a new job. I want a new job.
And God will give you that new job.
And
right?
I didn't even know what the new
Sure
job,
did.
and it was literally, I was unemployed for a minute. I was Instacart and hustling. I did outburst podcast coaching, outburst. It was just so many other things, but it all fell under my umbrella of this is the hustle. This is what it is.
But there's something great about like that, right? So it builds a lot of character as you went through that moment, right? And you still have that drive.
Yes.
Most people would have folded. They would have felt defeated. They would have got on unemployment. You're like, nah, I'm about to Instacart. I'm about to make cupcakes. I'm about to make
Listen.
sea moss. If y'all ain't see, I'm about to whip up some sea moss.
I didn't even know how to
I'm
do
going figure it
bottle
out.
scrub, but I was gonna figure it
You gonna
out.
figure it out.
I was gonna figure
You gonna
it out.
figure it out.
And I think that's important to have. Is always to have a can-do attitude. And I used
Will
to
do.
be in a will do.
Will do.
And I used to be that person who, when I got hit hard, I did fold. I used to fold a lot, but I used to be the type to fold and harbor. I was an emotional hoarder. I would get hit and hold it, hit and hold it.
Which is
hit and
destructive.
hold it. Super destructive.
Yeah. Because once you reach that climax, right?
And when
people
that
just
last,
see that.
and when that last thing happened for me, that's when everything I broke. And I told myself, man, if somebody say something, do something, I'm speaking on the right then and there. I'm speaking my piece. Love me or hate me, this is what it is. I set my boundaries. I felt so heavy on me. You know what I'm saying? I was heavy on me. And now, like people say, healing offends people. And this, I find this podcast, because we get a lot of times, a lot of people play us in many ways, but I feel like this podcast is offensive to people because we produce healing.
Right.
And everybody's not fit to be on here. It is what it is. Like, it is what it is. And I'm grateful for how long we've stayed true to the test of time, because a lot of things came out of COVID that no longer exist. And
Such as?
have my boutique.
But you wasn't supposed to have that.
Right. But I could honestly say, even through what we've gone through and now are healing from and figuring out our momentum again, I'm grateful we still have this. Like,
Right.
this
You're
is
still
literally, this is our S&P, y'all already know, this is our therapy for us too. We said we getting to know each other all over again. It's like, oh, that's 20 years of friendship. I'm not going to get to know each other all over again. What the fuck is this?
Well, you do, because people reinvent themselves, right?
We do.
So even if it's 20 years of friendship, we evolve, right?
And honestly, I feel like
we should.
we should.
We should.
Right.
And we've reached a point where it was like we were destructive to each other. So it was like, just kill that dead, bury that, let's start over, birth all fresh and new, and let it naturally be what it is, and we'll go from there. No? Yes.
Okay.
Am I reading that wrong?
Yeah, no, definitely right.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how, because you went
I did.
somewhere else from the question.
I did.
And I was going to follow up with what you were saying.
Keep going, I guess.
You said it's a two-part. So we were talking about your fifth season, the 30 people.
She
what inspired this.
originally, this is her baby. I've been saying this from season 1. This is her baby. I'm not a talker.
No?
I'm not a talker.
Okay.
And she sees something in me that I don't see in myself, because I'm not a talker. And
The irony in that, right? It's having a podcast but not being a talker.
Right.
I'm not.
You
And-
probably are, but you don't think that you are as much as you really are, right? You're maybe not as talkative as
Me?
Yeah.
the other hosts, but you're talkative.
And see, I enjoy sitting with people and having conversation. And this is where I feel like originally was What's Up Wednesday. Because I'm not a talker, I wanted to find
used to have a
something
segment called What's Up Wednesdays.
that like made me want to talk. And I like sitting with people and having conversation. I sit with her and have conversation all the time. And she's the carry of the conversation most of the time. So I'm like, we should throw somebody else in there. And I'm like, what if we interview people? And she was like, okay,
I
like where we going with this?
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do it like a home style thing where we sit and where I can be relaxed because I know what I needed. let's like have it where we sitting, we eating food, and we got the camera on us. I like people to look at me. At first, it was just like a vocal thing.
Okay.
But I like people to look at me. So let's put the camera out there and let's interview people and eat while we doing it. So if I don't want to talk, I don't have to talk because I'm eating.
You mentioned that, right? The eating part. And there's something, like you actually connect with people when you eat. And I don't think that people know that as much as they...
No, that's why family meals are so important.
Thanksgiving,
so many things,
right? When they interrogate you, they're offering you something to eat or something to drink.
Relaxing.
To also collect your DNA, right? At the can of Coke, right? You're like, nah, I'm good. I don't want no Coca-Cola. I don't even want water from y'all. But the point is, they're trying to meet a need, right? Because as human beings, like we want to feel that we trust the other person, right? So there's something interesting and unique, and there's something magical that happens when you actually break bread with someone, so to speak. You know, because then the person feels comfortable because you met that. I was hungry before I sat down,
now I'm full.
Now I'm full. I can talk.
Kick my leg out a little bit.
So you mentioned, that she's really the vehicle for the song.
So from her, this her baby, I also wanted to try to make myself more comfortable in it too. So I just start throwing out ideas, and here we are.
5 seasons later.
5 seasons.
5 seasons
Interviewing.
later. And I'm
visuals.
a lot like you because I am social, but it depends on like the setting. And I'm not social, like I said, on cue. Like you tell me to go live and talk about something, like I have to be driven to do that, right? And I think that sometimes when I do get invited to do these things and there's that anxiety, right? And I'm like, nah, I kind of gotta decline the offer or whatever. It's because like it's that social, being uncomfortable with doing something that you're not accustomed to doing.
Right.
So the more you put yourself out there, 5 seasons later, 30 plus people, the more comfortable you get with doing what you do.
Right.
You know?
But with Sault, she says she's not a talker, but she is more so, it's not even a talker. Tell your story. Nobody actually speak perfectly or nothing. It's just the story in itself. And I'm always going to see her potential in everything. And I'm never going to push her to not want to do it. But just enough so that you see it for you. Right, you see it for yourself too. Your story, everybody's story, what happens to you helps benefit somebody else. And I had to learn that the hard way. I used to take all my hits personally. Oh, God, why are you doing this? Oh, no. But it's like, why not me? I was strong enough to go through it, so now I have to tell somebody. So you don't know, somebody could be almost ready to seal up their own ditch up. That story could break them free. So it's not that you're not a talker. You are. You're just very selective of who you want to hear you. But I think it's more so once you fully come into my story is worth being heard, you'll speak it. And that's why the mic is here, always willing and ready and waiting.
And see, I think that's what my problem is, because I come from a lot of where I feel like people don't care to hear me. So I'm not going to talk. And if you sitting here and I'm comfortable, you letting me be comfortable, you're letting me be vulnerable, now I'm going to talk to you. I done had conversations with people outside of this, and they like, you don't talk like this on a podcast. And it's like, this is lights. This is lights, cameras, action.
I'm on stage, essentially, right?
I had one of my friends used to text me like, "Fix your face," and I'm like, "Oh, the camera's here."
But
you learn so much, right? Because you're able to kind of go back and take like notes, right, of how you conducted yourself. And things
I do want to be more connecting in the podcast. But I just be feeling like I'm not a talker.
Well, you also said something too, that you don't feel that enough people care what you have to say, right?
Yeah.
So it's like conditioning yourself to believe that what I'm saying is important and it's worthy of being heard, regardless if this person receives it or not. Regardless if they care what I have to say, what I'm saying is important.
Yes.
Amen.
And and I know, y'all see it now, this season, y'all see it. I be catching myself now. I'm like, yes, add it in there. Because it's like, if you don't get comfortable talking now, and it's just me and you held the cameras. It's like, when's it gonna happen? But I'm gonna support you regardless. That's why I firmly believe you just showing up shows the willingness to you want to. It's just a matter of when you're led to. That's gonna happen naturally and organically. And when that day comes, hey,
It's getting better. Go back and listen to a pod from season 1.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's getting better.
How much, but and those are the things that you need to commend yourself on, right? We're still in this season 5. I've interviewed 30 plus people. Like, I'm getting better at what I'm doing.
yes, so much better. I feel like this was mini therapy right there.
Right.
I love it.
They just poured into me. Did y'all hear that?
I love it. Oh, I'm gonna take this on the road. No, you
Why
really
not,
should.
though?
I was gonna say no.
Why
You really
not?
should though. Yes.
Why not?
Yes.
Why not? You know?
I'm saying this right here. This
Why
tree,
not?
I love it.
Let's do a tour.
Give a little spring.
Write it down. Let me write it down.
Yes. Pull in some people, have a yes.
Yeah.
Just therapy on the spot. What we
Yeah,
feeling today?
exactly.
Put it in the bucket. Pull it out. Let's talk about it. Yes.
And there's healing. You mentioned that, right?
It's so much healing.
Our story might be someone else's survival guide.
Yes.
Right? And I think that oftentimes we're so scared to talk about like the trauma that has happened to us because we're embarrassed. Like that happened to me at 9 years old, but we also have to remind ourselves that I was 9. I was vulnerable. I was, whatever the situation is, someone took advantage of me if that's the case, right? And I feel like a lot of us kind of like not being as transparent. And I'm not saying go live on Facebook and start telling people your business.
Right.
I'm not suggesting that, right? But I'm suggesting that there are things that have held people back and they don't even realize that, right? That you feel stagnant in life because of something that happened to you when you were 8 years old, right? And you haven't healed past that. So chronologically, you've made it to 26, right? But then you're still tied to that 8-year-old.
Right.
That's where the toxic come in at. Because
Yeah.
the age gap, something not adding up.
It's not.
Your
And it's us being
behavioral traits
honest.
is going to be a little childish, all that.
Yeah.
Stuff not adding up.
And sometimes it's understanding people, right? It's
Yeah.
empathizing with people and understanding that we were not all raised by the same people. I don't know what this person has been through, right? And just being a little bit, extending more grace.
Yes.
Right.
Extending more grace.
And I learned I had to learn stop